Lots of people out there getting ready for what's happening this weekend.
You know, and Dana, I heard a good tip from the Coast Guard, because this happens a lot over the summer when people still have those recreational boats out, especially like a kayak or a canoe. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they will find those that have been, sitting on people's lawns or something, blown into the water. And then they are worried about a missing boat or a missing kayak or a missing canoe, or they've asked people to put these waterproof tags on. If you go to the Coast Guard website, you can find them that tells the phone number, your name, just so that if they find this, they can call you and say,
extra
are you missing somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So lots to keep eyes on for this.
Absolutely. Always good to keep an eye on all of your materials. If you have outside furniture, you can bring that inside or you can tie that down, because you don't want things like that to be blowing away. But the good news is that we had a little bit of like a calm before the storm. Today we had plenty of sunshine, especially in the late afternoon. Things cleared out pretty well, and overall it became a pretty pleasant day for the beginning of fall. We had a cold front move through yesterday, which brought us some rain showers, but now that cold front has moved off into Canada, and we're going to remain dry for the rest of the day today and into tomorrow as well. Pretty nice fall day. We got a little bit warmer than average along the coastline into the upper 70s, but farther inland into the upper 60s and lower 70s. Not too bad. So we're going to stay clear for the rest of the day today, but as we get into tomorrow morning, you see these bands of clouds moving in. These are ahead of Hurricane Lee, and they kind of have that banding structure that's typical with hurricanes. And then we're going to start seeing the precipitation move in early in the morning on Saturday. This model here has the first areas of rain beginning to move into down eastern Maine at 1 a.m. on Saturday. The heaviest bands of rain are going to set up in eastern Maine, so the farther west you are, the drier things will be. But overall, we're looking at the possibility of some localized flooding as well as some high wind gusts moving through. But the good news is that the storm does move through relatively fast. By the time we get into Sunday, things are already going to start clearing out, which does give everyone an opportunity to clean up. Now, currently Hurricane Lee is just west of Bermuda, and if you've noticed it over the past couple of days, it started to stretch out from north to south, which makes it look more menacing, but it's actually a sign that the hurricane is weakening. And as it moves into colder water, they have a much harder time sustaining themselves. So likely it'll drop down into a tropical storm by the time it comes towards Maine. Now, the track has once again shifted more towards the east, towards Nova Scotia, but even outside of this cone that we have here, we'll feel the effects of the storm. They'll just be a little bit less. So right now we're looking at peak wind gusts between 40 and 60 miles per hour coming from a northerly direction, which can cause some tree damage and some power outages because we still have a lot of leaves on the trees. And something else that's going to be a definite impact is rip currents, beach erosion, and high surf. Just offshore, especially in down East Maine, could see waves between 15 and 20 feet, so do not stand too close to the shoreline. Now, the National Weather Service has issued a bunch of warnings ahead of this storm. Currently, we have a hurricane watch along down eastern Maine and into water, as well as a coastal flood warning in anticipation of this storm. And then farther inland in down east Maine, as well as down along the coastline into the southern coast, they have issued a tropical storm watch, which are all in effect until the day on Sunday. So here are some of the impacts kind of packaged up here. No matter where the storm makes landfall, high surf, rip currents, and beach erosion are going to be definite impacts. The rain and the wind is going to be stronger the farther you are towards the east, but we are expecting localized flooding and power outages from downed trees. In fact, it's going to be similar to the impacts of a nor'easter, even though this storm is not a nor'easter, especially a wet one. And currently in the marine forecast, though, seas 5 to 8 feet and water at 66 degrees. So as our 7-day forecast goes, we'll have those increasing clouds ahead of the storm on Friday. So that's a good day to get things prepared. Saturday is when we'll see the effects of Lee for the wind and the rain. But the good news is that it's a pretty fast moving storm, so it'll be able to get out of our hair for the end of the weekend, which will allow people to spend time cleaning up. So Sam and Chris, this is the kind of storm where it's similar to a nor'easter, so I think that's a good way to kind of frame it so people know kind of what to prepare, be prepared to be without power for a couple of days, but we don't want to panic at this situation. It's not going to be a catastrophe.
But good news for those power crews on Sunday to be able to get up quickly and get the power back on to lots of people.
Absolutely, it'll be nice and clear on Sunday.
Excellent.